What is it?
Ironburg.
Of course it does.
Okay, here we go.
And who touches it? It's the Dolan quiz.
Hey, today's not going to take me very long to be able to teach, so everyone check in. Braxton, Hershey, how do I solve that?
Divide by 5.
Good, so we're going to divide by 5. So yesterday we did add and subtract to both sides. Today we're going to do multiply and divide. What about if I had this? Gavin, how do I solve that?
That's a great question.
How do I solve this one? It is a great question, that's why I asked you.
You definitely asked the wrong part. You literally pressed it. I
Okay,
don't know.
we're going to divide both sides by 4, but we have an issue. What's the issue with this one?
The X is on the wrong side.
Yeah, you got to flip the entire equation, right?
You got a mirror.
So today all we're going to be doing is this, but there is a little kicker to today. If I have this, negative 3u is greater than or equal to 18. If I have that problem right there, Matt, how do I do this one? Okay, but there is a little bit of a kicker here. Does anyone know what happens? Matt? Yep. Anytime you multiply or divide both sides of the inequality by a negative, you have to flip the inequality. So let me say that again. Anytime you multiply or divide both sides of an equation by a negative, you have to flip the inequality. So once again, if I have 2w is greater than 10, when I divide by a negative 2 here, we have to flip the inequality, okay? Now there is a little bit of a kicker to this. If I have something like this, 12 is less than or equal to negative 4x. Watch. This one's a little bit tricky. When I divide by a negative 4, what do I do to the inequality? I have to flip the sign, but then what do I have to do with this? You have to flip the entire problem. So we kind of go back to the original sign, right? But it's not, because x is not greater than, x is actually less than. Does everyone see that? So when you divide it by a negative, you have to flip the sign, but because the variable is on the wrong side, you then have to, I call it a flipper. Okay, I don't know why, it's just something I do. So once again, what? Yeah, well, sort of. If you look over here, x is greater than here, because the alligator's eating him here, and the answer, it's less than. See that?
Yeah.
So if I have this, when I divide by a negative 4, because I divide by a negative, I get 4. Because I divided by a negative, I have to flip the sign, and then you have to flip the entire equation to go to the way they want it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but when you just divide by like 4,
So even this is one of the biggest questions I get. If I have this, because the divisor right here isn't a negative, the sign stays the same. Only when you divide by a negative do you flip the sign. Does everyone see that? Okay, the last thing we need to cover, and this won't be too much longer, guess what we have to do now? Fractions. Not too much harder though, thank goodness. How do I solve that? So you're dividing by negative 4/9, or we're doing what? Times by the reciprocal. So we're going to times both sides by negative 9/4.
you have to flip the sign.
Because you times by a negative, you do have to flip the sign, which gives us negative 90 over 4, or negative 45 over 2 would be your solution. Does everyone see that?
How in the frick did you do that in your head?
2 times 9, 10 times 9, you know that.
That part's easy.
Divided by 4, and then just 2 goes into both. Trust me, that isn't too hard, man. Here we go. Negative 10 over 7v is greater than or equal to 6. Mallory, how do I do this one? We're going to times both sides by negative 7 over 10, which cancels out there and leaves us with v. Because we times by a negative, we have to flip the inequality, which gives us negative 42 over 10. 6 times a negative 7 is a negative 42. which then reduces to 21 over 5 negative. And there's your solution. Any questions on this, or can we do this?
We can do it.
Matt, can we do this? Can we times by reciprocals? Mace? What do you think? Alright, I'm going to give you your homework. That's it. Short and easy today. 12 problems. When you're done, I want you working on your zoo today.